what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to season 2. We're excited to have you tuning into Shit Your Mama Should Have Taught You and More. I am your host this week, Alex. With us, usual suspects is the beautiful Remel, little Mama Simone. How we doing today, ladies?
We're doing great.
Cool, man. You know, I gotta say, I'm really excited about today's subject. What's even better, we have an amazing guest. Pastor, how you doing today, my friend?
I am well. How are you doing today, Alex?
Awesome. First, I would give a little intro, but I feel like I would do a little injustice. So can you just give us a little bit about yourself and, tell us who you are?
Okay. I'm Dr. L Micah O, Dexter II. I am a pastor in the great city of Syracuse, New York. I have been preaching now for about 34 years and pastoring for about 24. And my background is psychology and law. And I am just a realist when it comes down to conversation. I don't shy away from hard topics. I'm a civil rights activist, so you have to be able to deal with hard topics with that. And so I am definitely an educator, and I love to, if I should say, educate people when it comes down to culture, identity from the past to the present, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand or accept where they come from and where they are now. So in saying that and the realistic aspect of it, I'm just ready to have some fun today and have a wonderful discussion.
Good, because that's one of the main things we do with our show. We want to have a lot of fun and we want that to come off, but we also want to tackle serious subjects. So like one of the subjects we've been talking about, and we pushed it to the beginning of this season, is the use of the N-word within the Black household. And why take a word that is such a derogatory history and make it your own? And I mean, I understand the power of taking something negative and turning it into a positive, but why that word? And before I get your answer, I just have, like I said, we have a little fun. How long have you been in Syracuse? Have you been there since Syracuse was known as Orange, or Syracuse Orange?
Well, I do have to go back for just half a moment. I do have my show that I do with Louise Poindexter. It's called L Micah On Point, and we run every Saturday, and we hit hot topics. I mean, seriously hot topics. So I'm really excited about the show. So, and as far as it being Orange, I was born in Syracuse, New York. I was reared in Florida. So I've lived in Florida since I was like 11, 12 years old.
What part of Florida?
Actually, in a small area that used to be bigger than Gainesville and the Gators, out near Rosewood, Florida, and Chiefland, Florida. And I grew up out there, which was a cultural shock coming from New York. and it wasn't the bright lights as they are right now. Disney World was there, but it wasn't all the hype that it is now. But I'm an Orangeman fan in Syracuse. So I was here kind of sort of when it got started. But then as I'm leaving, I'm a Florida State person.
Okay.
But when I'm in either or state, then I'm there. But if I'm in Georgia, then I'm definitely a Bulldogs person.
All right.
Oh, wait, hold up. So basically, you take the safe route. Where you're at is who you're a fan of.
Not
Absolutely, he's the flexible fan.
Hey man, look, it's all about survival in some cities. Of the
fittest.
Exactly. Dude, look, being from Philly, we understand, man. You come from the Philly, if you're a fan from somewhere else, you better get your head straight.
Exactly.
I
can remember attending the University of Florida and going in and unaware, young freshman with my Florida State paraphernalia on another campus. That was just horrible. But
yeah, so I lived in Florida for a couple of years, and I understand the rivalry down there within the two universities. But so back to the idea of having this conversation around the N-word. Doc, can you tell me why that word with the history behind it? Why that word? Why? And you know what? Before we even go any further, we're going to use the word, so we're just going to get it out. We're going to, I find it more disrespectful for you and I to have a conversation regarding a word and me say the N word, the N word, the N word. So let's just say the word what it is, because we're adults. We're having an adult conversation. Why is the word nigga used in the community that word was meant to be used to be derogatory, to talk down to belittle somebody?
So there's now, I'm gonna speak for right now as far as the word, the translation, and then I'm gonna go back.
Please do.
My understanding from my youthful teenage children and is that the word nigger means one thing, the N-I-G-G, and then the nigga means something else.
Preach! I keep trying to tell Alex.
Oh, I understand this. I understand this.
So the N-I-G-G aspect of it is to demean, put someone in check, to pull gravity. The nigga, and I think that has to do with people being able to spell, but that's me. Is more of a comrade, a friend,
right.
Loose terms. But because of the way society utilizes the vernacular of speech, nigger and nigga still relates to the same thing when it comes to me and my era of youth, if I will say it that way. Because when we were children back in the 70s and the 80s, the word colored was used, the word Negro was used, and in our household, we were not allowed to use the word nigger. Although when my grandmother, who was half Native American and Irish and Negro, had a dislike for white people. So
definitely,
she looked like she was white to me. I mean, I didn't understand, but anyhow, that's a different story for a different time. But she used the word nigger to white people, and she used it to some black people or people of color. I don't want to use the word black, but people of color, when she was like not necessarily upset, but you've done something to interject. So in the culture of the household of people of color, when the word nigger is used, it's to pull gravity to you, not so much to completely demean you, but to let you know that we're gonna take it to another level. Okay? So when we go back further, it's the Negro who made it easy. It's the Negro that translated to colored. All right. Then we come along with the Black Panther Party and with James Brown. James Brown said, "I'm black and I'm proud."
Black
so
and proud.
no longer were we Negroes,
loud.
then we were, and say it loud. No longer were Negroes, no longer were we colored, but now we want to take ownership of being black. And people of color, black people used to get upset when you called them black. I remember having this friend, and I'm just real. And what I say once, I'll say it again. I had this friend that always had something smart to say, and he looked like charcoal. So I said the only difference between you and midnight is 11:45 p.m. So when a light-skinned person says, "Oh, you're stuck on your color," you're not stuck in your color. But then at that point in time, he called me a nigger. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll accept that. All right. So we have to understand the study of the word Negro, the Latin word, is black. All right. And so to come from the ground, and that's a word that the European Caucasian folk gave to us because of the way that we look. And so when we use this word and people use it loosely, it becomes offensive to me, not necessarily the word, but it's how you're utilizing the word. I often use the word colored or people of color because there's a multiple shades of people that are of African descent or the mixed, as we were laughing earlier, the young lady said, I can't remember her name. What's the young lady's name? Simone.
Simone.
Sorry, Simone. All right, and she was saying that Remel had her Indian braids, and Remel was like, "Well, all of
My
a sudden
fake
we have some
Indian braids.
Well, listen, it looks good. It looks good. So when
I don't mean it like that, Dexter. I mean, I ain't no damn Indian. You know, black people always say we got some Indian in us.
We got some Indian in us.
Yeah.
Or we got some Puerto Rican in us. Yeah, some
Exactly.
Cherokee. I'm like, Cherokee.
Oh yeah, y'all from the East Coast, Puerto Rican, huh?
So there's different shades of people. I think it's how you act. And so I remember hearing my grandmother say at one point in time that I was coming in from a football practice and my white friend was in the back of the car and she had her car painted and we were in the South. And the guy came out and the car wasn't the color that she actually thought it was going to be. And she called the guy a nigger. And I'm looking at the guy and the guy clearly isn't black. He's not dark, he's not brown, he's not yellow. He is like 100% dipped in milk. And so I'm like, Ma. And she slapped me and blood came out of my mouth. And she said,
slapped you?
She slapped me and she said, nigga, shut up. And I'm in the nigga team now.
Oh.
And so I'm sitting there and my buddy is in the back of the car and I'm embarrassed. And so after she finished giving this gentleman a tongue lecture, she said to me in front of my friend, she said he was acting like a nigga.
I know, I say that all the time. People doing nigga stuff. You can be black, white, green. I don't think it's related to color. I think it's related to attitude and behavior. That's what I say. But also, I also differentiate between nigger and nigga, because nigger is that demeaning word that they put on us. And now we made it words of camaraderie and brotherhood.
And made it easy. But she did share with me moving forward. She did share with me when my nigger aspect of it, that you don't ever challenge me in front of anybody.
Oh, that's right.
And so I understood then that, and then she did say to me, she said, a nigger is a person that is one that is dirty and does things deliberately and trying to hurt. Now, the folk take the word and they take ownership of it, saying that we're changing the word to be what we want it to be. It was one point in time that bad was actually bad and good was actually good. Now good is out of the picture and bad is actually good. So I truly believe now that the word nigger, nigga, either way you want to say it, has now ignorantly been translated to ownership of something being positive when it actually isn't. And this comes from us not educating our children in our homes on the difference. Now, I'm not going to bust one of my sons in the mouth. I probably could. They're over 6 feet tall now, but you know, but I trained them as a man of color that has gone through a lot. I mean, I'm very fair skinned, and I had someone say to me, "Well, you look like us, but you sound like them." Well, I don't know who them are or who they are, but what I'm saying to you is that I have to make things and help things go in a direction that my children won't suffer what my ancestors suffered and what I've come to suffer. So I train my boys to make sure you utilize and understand words. Matriculation through academia is one thing, but you have to have that street and home knowledge, that home knowledge of parents actually sharing with you. These words are derogatory. It's not cool for someone to say to you, "What's up, my nigga?" Because you have white people using the word just as loosely and calling other white people niggas. You know, and when I use the word cracker, then there's "Oh, well, that's offensive to me." I said, "Well, that's okay. We heard the word nigga for a whole long time, so cracker shouldn't hurt you too much."
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started on the word cracker, because I can go through the origins of it.
So, and even in that word, the word cracker derives from people being whipped with horse whips, and the whip would crack. So you had black people, Negroes, all right, colored people that made it easy for African Americans that never been to Africa to understand this, that you had black people whipping black people as well. So cracker's not just derived to just white people, it's to people that mistreat people. But we don't have people walking around saying, "What's up, my cracker?" You know, what's up? You know, we don't use that loosely. I'm gonna stop talking to someone else.
No, we actually love it, and you're giving such an amazing information. But it's funny you bring up the word cracker, because I've done a lot of research on the word, and it's the crazy part is it actually derives from 1500 England and is first used in Shakespeare to describe rowdy white people.
Well, isn't that interesting?
They're out there cracking a joke, cracking a party, cracking heads. And then when in Florida and in the South, white people start calling other white people that because they were cowboys. That boy sure can crack a whip, that cracker. And then cracking slaves, black people start to use that word as a derogatory word. So it was actually a positive word when it was used in America by white people. It was just the way to describe drunk white people back in England. And
so even if you take that word that you said that derived from English, 1500 in the England area, it was used to describe rowdy white people. So back in England in 1500, someone called you a cracker. They were telling you basically that you were out of line. So I think it's not just America. People in general have a history of a word that is derogatory and making it their own, finding that glass half full instead of half empty. And we see this, all the labels that we have, that's what people do. So even the word black, I remember a time when I remember people saying, "I'm not black, don't call me black, I'm African American." And myself, I've always been like, well, I'm not gonna say I'm African American because I don't know anybody that came from Africa. I know there's nobody in my bloodline that I know of, and can go back to that came from Africa. So I'm like, well, I don't really know if I'm African American. And I'm like, well, am I black? I don't look black, but that's what you're gonna call me. So I got to a point where I'm just kind of like, any word, if I know who I am, then it doesn't really matter. Because like Remel, like you said, words only have the power that we give it. And so about the word nigga, there was a time when I was younger and I would tell my brothers, I would tell friends, I'm just like, well, if you keep calling yourself a nigga, everyone's going to think that's who you are. Like, you're a nigga. So you should stop referencing to yourself as that. And it's basically, they said the same thing. I'm taking the power back. You can't call me something and make it derogatory, make it negative unless I let you. Now, if you say it, you might get popped in your mouth. But, we say to each other, think about the word bitch, think about the word slut.
That's another.
Think about the
conversation.
Can I say the word faggot to anybody? No, I absolutely cannot. But do gay men say it to each other? Yes, all the time. Yes.
Good point.
So, point. History of, sticks and stones may break my bones, but was it words will never hurt me?
But names will never hurt me.
But names, if you call somebody a certain thing or talk about somebody's mother, you will get cut, beat, and drugged. So
and we learn names hurt more than sticks and stones, because that'll heal in a couple days. But that name that you call me, that's gonna stick with me forever. So I'm gonna make it heal just like sticks and stones.
I guess I have a different perspective. Like, I just don't give a damn. You can call me whatever the hell you want to call me. You know what I mean? You can just call me whatever you want to, and I don't care.
I need you on the trustee board, Remel. Listen, I don't give a damn. So
I don't.
I won't have to say it. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. But I just don't. I feel like whatever you say, it's all about you. And I have to focus inwardly, and I'm not thinking about what you put on me. And so, I've had people call me bitch plenty of times. That's not a surprise. And
you said it. We thought it.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm glad you said it out loud. I can see it all on your face. But I've never had anybody call me a nigga. And I mean, which is interesting because we don't put that often on women, right? Sometimes we'll hear, you know, in some of the slave movies and things like that, where they said, get this nigga and blah nigger, get this nigger out of here or whatever. But I've never had it happen to me. Now I use the word. I use niglet. I use niggerachi.
Which is one of your favorite words to use.
I use nigga dumb. I use all those words, and I use nigga, and I never one time mean black. I never one time mean African American. I never one time mean somebody that is dirty. I don't mean that. It's just behaviors for me. That's some niggas shit I say. Oh, excuse me, Pastor.
You're okay. You're okay.
So I know that I use the word, but I don't use it in the same capacity that was meant previously. Now, I have heard people say, "What's up, my nigga?" I don't take offense to it, because when they say it, I know what they mean. They mean, "What's up, my friend?" It's a cultural type of appropriation, I might want to say, on the word. They use it in a different way. So I'm not offended by it. So words don't hurt me. You can say whatever the hell you want to say, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna give you the bird.
You know, as Simone was saying, you know, when we take these words that for granted that people say in their own little circle, it's okay for them to say it, and it's okay for you to accept what they're doing, but you can't ever say how you feel or what you want. In this society, pretty much anything goes. I mean, we have Joe Biden as a president. We had Donald Trump. Okay.
Right.
And then we had the other.
Get me started on that now.
Okay. So when we saying that we're grabbing women by the genitals, or whether you're saying this, and saying one is worse than the other, when you look at Joe Biden as well as Donald Trump, I'm not making it about them, just making it about the comments of grabbing women's backsides and areas, and they run a neck and neck. But people the society suppresses and changes the narrative to what they want. When we come down to the word nigger, I train as an educated man of color. I train my sons and definitely my daughter. I taught my daughters how to drive a car before my boys, and they were very upset. But I need to make sure that she can, you know, if things go wrong, you can get away. But anyhow, but that you don't use that word in my presence. And when you're having a dialogue, not necessarily a monologue where you're just thrusting things out, there's no need for it to get to that point. I can probably curse someone out, the pastor, and use enough words in the dictionary that you would have to go and research and figure out whether I said what you thought I said, which I actually said, without using the gutter aspect of it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I like it.
How does that word? How does he spell that word again?
So you know, so when I have boys and they go out in society, people are killing people now, and they're even killing people over that particular word.
Right.
You don't, and people of color get me with that. A white person can say, "What's up, my nigga?" And if you have a beef with a person that looks like you, and they say nigga, then you shoot them. So I'm like, with my boys, make sure you understand the fundamental part of education and common sense when you're using the words. What you say outside, I'm quite sure William probably knows how to cuss like a sailor. I'm probably sure LeRoy probably knows. But you know, and along with Ellis, I don't know about Christopher, he's still a little young, but he may know some words. But even in those vulgar words, the vulgarity with the word nigger, you need to respect the other human being by not using that word. Now, if you choose to use that word, as Remel has said, you know, and you really don't care, but you understand the camaraderie of the word or the comfortability of the word, because we use so many street colloquialisms, if I can use that word, until we really don't know what we're saying. It just becomes a part of our conversation. And it's almost like a person stuttering. You know,
But
they have
don't
to
say that
word
about what, don't put that statement right behind me using it now. We really don't know what he's saying. I know.
So I train them to make sure they understand what they're saying, how they're saying it, and how they're presenting it. Because in society, the narrative is that we're already ignorant people already.
Yeah.
So
This
I'm
is
not
true.
comfortable with a even though I have white people in my family and I probably got some blood in me, comfortable with a white person saying, "What's up, my nigga?" First of all, I don't use street colloquialism, so you would never say that to me because I would put you in check. You will never ever call me an African American because that's a label that white people put together to give to people of color, to degrade you even further. And these folk have grabbed it and said, "Oh, I'm from Africa." Your behind haven't even been to Africa. Can you spell Africa?
Haven't even been out of the state they grew up in.
This is the craziest thing. How in the world do people that have darker pigmentation get a whole continent? All right, the whole area. But Egypt is not from Africa. Libya is not from Africa. They're Libyans and Egyptians.
Right.
They're considered white on that northern end, and they're darker than most of us.
Right.
Okay. And so, but you ignorantly allow the government to say that you're African American. You were born in the United States.
I check other.
And I have to check other, because when people start saying that I'm jet black, and I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I'm not black. You understand the mindset of it because of the culture you think I come from, because I like collard greens and I don't eat pork, but I like, well, we'll just make it simple. I like ribs and collard greens and fried chicken. Okay. So then you evidently are from Africa. No,
I like those things.
You felt well. Listen, I'm still out to lunch whether you're actually white or not. So,
so you still can't use the word yet.
it's the light on me right now. It's just making me look very light. Yeah, it's the light. It's the lighting.
So it's the garbage that you fed us, the scraps that you fed us that we made taste good. You look at the average white person now, and they have high blood, they have diabetes worse than we do. I know that's a different time, different conversation, but the bottom line is the thing that you try to destroy us with, that's what we need to understand, that we need to push away from so that we have healthier lives. Don't allow someone to present to you who you are, because once they identify you, you accept who they say you are. I don't ever check African American. You're not going to check dark black for me and say that, oh, that's who you are. No, that's not who I am. I don't care if you're a judge. I don't care if you're the president. I don't care if who you are. And I love my mom, and I believe she in heaven. But my mama couldn't say to me, no, you're the African American. I might get slapped.
I'm young, but I'm still not that young. And so like I have like my cousins, and they're just like, well, being a POC, and I'm just like, what is POC? And I'm like, oh, person of color. Like, oh, okay.
Wait, PLC?
PO.
Oh, I thought you were saying PLC. I'm like, what the hell does the L stand for? That makes more sense.
Yeah, POC, person of color.
Okay.
People love color. PLC.
There you go.
People love color.
Yeah,
come on, let's
and they do.
On. And we're all technically of color, but
we are.
That's another conversation.
Say is that you have Hispanics using it. You have Asians. Asians like to use that because they don't consider themselves white. I mean, of course, they're not white, but even Asians like to use it. Filipinos, because they don't consider themselves Asian. So color is just it's a broad term, especially in America, with us being such a melting pot. It is a great term. I've even heard Black people that take the word nigga and they say it's Negus, which is niggas, which is king or queen of power or something like that. I can't remember where the term comes from.
A bunch of bariatric excrement.
What was that?
I said a bunch of bariatric excrement, but go ahead. I need to cut you off.
But no, that's just what we do as, as I don't know about I can't speak on other countries, but just people in here in the United States, we're constantly trying to take these words and it's like, okay, well, how can we make it better? What can we reinvent this word? And what do we call ourselves? And, like we said, it all goes back to slavery. It makes it difficult because we're trying to get away from that, all the negative.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always say you can't blame anybody that's like taking a word, if I was called a hoe all my life, you know what? I am a hoe. I could be a virgin and you could still be calling me a hoe because the way I dress, because the way I work. So you know what? Fine. I'm the baddest hoe there is, and it's just like, I'm taking my power back.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we have to take our power back. People put words on us to try to demean us. And if we allow it, like when, you're in the street and somebody says nigger, and it's like, here you go. How about that? And just keep it moving. Nobody has to die. Nobody has to go to jail. It's just like, screw you. I don't care. Maybe I am.
So how do we feel with moving forward? Like this younger generation, as Simone, you brought up, Asians, white people, Hispanics, you're hearing all these younger generation using the word as a camaraderie, even though the word, where it derives from, is not really meant for that. Do you feel that the word is going to, I don't want to say have less power moving forward? Do you think it's going to not be as effective to people for someone saying it in a negative connotation, I should say?
Hold on, I thought I turned my phone off, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So two areas. Simone and Remel both touched on it. You have, moving forward, it's going to be somewhat of a difficult process, but then it's evolving into a different type of movement where you had people that would want to look like the Barbie doll. They wanted hair like the Barbie doll. Now that they've cut Barbie's hair off and they can sew, glue it, or patch it in, they now look like the European Caucasian model with hair down their back. Okay. And society was like, well, you have to look thin, or you have to look this way because these folk look this way. Now, moving forward with the word nigger, because it's so loosely used and ignorantly used, it's become a chic word, such as cracker in the 1500s. People look at it as a joke. But then when you put a punchline and a joke and use the word Negro, please, then it becomes funny as that aspect. And the reason why I'm laying it out like this is because you have everyone, including white, Asians, definitely Pakistanians, and the true India people from India. They all want to be called and considered white because of the way the texture of their hair. All right, they didn't want to associate with anyone being called black because in Great Britain, there's a lot of Indian people that live there. They've been called niggers there before it even came, before we even got to the United States. So they don't like that word. But now all of a sudden, everybody wants to be a nigger. Everybody wants to be
I don't
black.
know about that, Pastor.
Wait a second. From the aspect of going and getting BBLs and body lifts and butts like trains that can serve drinks and cigars, to there's nothing wrong with the butt. There's nothing wrong with the butt. Pastor loves the butt.
First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
So you have people that want, and I'm going to sum this up. You have people that want the nigger culture. You pass white people in their cars right now, and you think of somebody of color in the car.
Bumping our music.
Yeah, I mean, they know your music better than they know their own. They don't know who. Is there any white people? What's the young lady? What white artists are they? They just sing white music.
None.
Okay, so there, my point is proven. So everybody loves the
Nonsense.
rap, they love the R&B, they love all of this. They want to be Black. They want to be a person of color. And so moving forward, it's becoming a gel melting pot that everybody is just using these words. Even in the prison system, everybody calls everyone nigga. What's up, my nigga? Until you get out of the prison walls and you want to fight and talking about, oh, they offended me and that's a racial statement. No, you were fine with them saying it to you then. And that is slowly moving out and progressing out of the prison system. And when people come out, or even people that are in the street, everybody's calling everyone by either nigga or nigga. And society has accepted it. So there's an off-kiltered balance to where it's kind of hindering us to kind of educate people on change and moving away from slavery and derogatory words. But then society's saying it's okay. But you can't say, oh, well, that as Simone said earlier, in the male, I guess I'm saying it right, I hope I'm not offending anybody, the male homosexuality aspect of it, they can call one another a faggot, but you can't say that to them. But but moving forward, it's very difficult to take that word away now because everybody's taking ownership of it, and not only taking ownership of it, they're taking the music, they're taking everything, So hopefully I said that to the best.
It's funny you say that with music, because I know, growing up, the first music I really got into when I was 8, 9 years old was when hip hop really started to go commercial. LL Cool J, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Fat Boys. And I remember listening to that and not enjoying Led Zeppelin and Rush and all these rock and roll bands. And the white people that I grew up with were like, you wigger. What do you mean I'm wigger? Because you like Black music. I'm like, no, it's just the music I enjoy. So I understand.
I was gonna
say
a great I'm a music head, so that would be a great episode that we can continue on, because music translates to all all
so I think yes, and I that's one of the things I want to bring up, because I think that's a great next episode for us to talk about. And I want to kind of wrap up what we have going on here, because we had such an amazing conversation. And Pastor, I really want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the information that you gave us. It was very informative, where the history of the word to where it is today, to where the possibility of it going, how words only have meaning to you if you allow them to have meaning to you. So it was really, really great. Simone, you have any final thoughts on what we talked about today?
I think I pretty much said everything I needed to say. Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Mama Remel?
Well, I just got one final thing to say. Alex, you still can't use that damn word. You're invited to the cookout, but you can't use that damn word.
That's fine. I don't want to use the word.
Don't bring any potato salad.
You don't use it. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, hell no.
I got to put that zing in there, then.
Yo, I never had at any of my household functions potato salad with raisins in it. Never. No.
Talk to your wife.
No. So look, and you know what? It's funny. I don't use the word. My wife doesn't use the word. My wife's friends don't use the word. I heard my wife use the word once, and that was in a short film in the 14 years. Her friends, nothing. But that's a whole nother conversation. So, Pastor, go ahead.
One more thing, I forgot about it earlier. What I will say, Pastor, what you had mentioned about the older generation, my partner and all of his male friends, I will say they do not use that word with older gentlemen. Never have I ever heard my partner or his friends go to an older gentleman and be like, hey, nigga, I've never heard them say that, unless it's some friendship that they've already built. So I do believe that I think younger men do understand where older gentlemen come from, when they're just like, no, we were called niggas from white people. I don't use that word. You don't talk to me in that type of way. So right. I would say it's understood. It's understood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you would not survive, because that was like a curse word. That was like a profanity saying that. So you would like be eating blood and and trying to eat your ribs at the same time at a cookout. That word.
Boom, bam, bop.
If you just take face value of what is being presented before you, then you will never be exposed to anything else. Moving from New York to Florida was a cultural shock, and this right now is a cultural shock, because growing up in the North, whether you were in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we went to school with people. We didn't go to school necessarily with color. At least I did. We didn't talk about that. I learned about Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, believe it or not, Malcolm X. I received all of my Negro education in the state of Florida. And when I picked up a book and I started reading for myself and then researching, I understood from the first president of the United States that they had, that we know in this era before, well, I won't even get into that. George Washington was a racist. So when we start taking down statues and moving forward, when we start taking down General Lee's statue, you need to start taking George Washington off the bill, because he wanted every Negro dead. So, and a lot of our children don't know history. They're just going by what somebody said. So what we need to do is make sure that we're not just watching Roots, and we're not just watching every move that comes out as 12 years a slave, but you need to understand you're still enslaved right now by allowing someone to give you and say to you who you are. So moving forward, we need to make sure that we're educated so that we can educate our children about our culture.
Wow,
Wonderful.
that's an
Wonderfully put.
amazing note to end the show on. Pastor, thank you so much. Doctor, thank you so much. I don't want to miss one of your titles because they're both hard.
Oh, you're perfectly
earned,
fine.
You know. So
Thank you.
so as we close out, can you just let our guests know where they can follow you, where they can find you, so they can get more information on you and learn more from you?
Certainly, I'll put my voice in action now. You can reach and see me live on Facebook every Saturday, a Dex Media Group, or you can look me up under L Micah O, Dexter II. We have a show every Saturday, live with L Micah and Louise. You can Facebook me, Instagram is Dr. L Micah O, Dexter II. Micah, like the book of Micah in the Bible. I'm the only one listed like that in the world. Dr. L Micah O, Dexter II. So go there, like my page, and anytime that you all would care to have me on the show, please let me know, and I'll be more than glad to come. So those
absolutely,
we're gonna hold you to
appreciate
that.
it. Absolutely. We'll make sure when we drop this episode to put links directly to you, so when people hear you, they can just click and get right to you, make it a little more easier for everyone. So again, thank you so much for everyone listening. We had an amazing conversation on the N-word and the use of it within the Black household. Follow us on all the social media platforms on shit your mama should have taught you more. SYMSTY. I got all that out.
Who comes up with your topic titles?
We all do. We all do.
Everybody's like looking at the screen, like everybody's looking at one another.
Everyone's look. They're looking at me.
We are not. We do not care.
Well, I'm looking at my camera, and it looks like you're looking at me. So I'm just saying you're looking at me.
I mean, isn't it about me? My
wife and daughter say it's about me. So
that's what they say. Me. Do you see what we have to deal with, Pastor, every week?
I see. Oh, yeah, on the last note, Remel, Simone, thank you for having me. Alex, thank you for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Have a blessed week. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for everything you've been through. And thank you for the education that you're giving our generation and the future generations.
Yes. Until next time, grace and peace.
All right.